as a big fan of Christmas films, it takes a lot to disappoint me. The Claus family seemed to be quite popular. It was recommended to me on Netflix, and I thought I'd give it a go because it sounded quite interesting, seemed like there'd be a lot of scope for magic and beautiful effects. I thought it was really diabolical. I thought it was terrible. This was released in 2020 and directed by Matthias Temmermans. This is originally a Dutch film, which is, not something I have a problem with. I never really find dubbed movies to be off-putting. I know some people don't like it when the vocals don't match the imagery, but doesn't bother me at all. And the description from IMDb makes this sound quite interesting, and this is as follows. After discovering his grandfather is Santa Claus, Jules has to help him deliver his presents all around the world. But Jules' hatred for Christmas might make that more difficult than Santa thought. So that sounds thrilling. Jules, played by Bakker, brilliant actor, really enjoyed his performance. The character I thought was very complex and very well written. To give credit to this film where it is due, Jules and also Noël Claus, played by Decleir, of course, our Santa Claus, both very fascinating characters, very well acted. To praise that aspect of the film absolutely deserves all the praise it can get. But within the first, I think maybe 10 minutes, something pretty drastic and tragic happens, and it's really quite depressing. Bearing in mind this is a family film, it got dark very quickly. It's also pitched as a fantasy comedy, which, it is a fantasy comedy. No, I don't see any humour in this at all. Maybe a few quirks, but I do think, though, even though I liked how complex Jules was, he is a very negative character, very pessimistic. There are reasons for that, and I completely understand the reasons, but it makes this a very heavy film that's not the magical, fantastical, festive Christmas film that one would expect it to be, based on the narrative, based on the genres, based on the way it's being marketed. It's really actually quite blooming depressing. The narrative itself is not that good. It's all over the place. It's absolutely chaotic. It goes back and forth completely. There are characters in this who don't need to be in this. There are characters who we're introduced to and then we don't see again for a while, and I've forgotten who they were, and it takes me a minute to become reacquainted with them. Everything is just completely scattered. I feel like it's really poorly edited. The narrative development is... well, the pacing's okay, but the fact that it goes back and forth slows it down a little bit, and I feel like there's a lot that they could take out of this, and it would still be the same story, but it wouldn't drag on as much. Obviously, there is a point, due to the character development, where Jules begins to get more involved and begins to accept that his grandfather is Santa Claus. And when that happens, we do get some beautiful visuals. There are some gorgeous scenery when we visit the kind of Santa's workshop, and we get to see the elves who help him. The special effects there, the camera angles, the editing of certain special effects, I thought worked really well. So again, to look for some positives in this. Visually, I thought a lot of it was great. The lighting plays a very big part in setting the mood. Sometimes quite somberly, sometimes the rooms are quite brightly lit. I think the lighting works very well with whatever tone certain scenes are trying to give off. There are positives about this, but ultimately I thought it was much more depressing than it was advertised as, more depressing than it needed to be. Jules, although I liked the character with how he is written and how complex he quite is, and certainly with how he is acted, I feel like he needed to be more positive more quickly in order for this film to be enjoyable, because he just dragged the tone down. If you're looking for a depressing Christmas film, this is a winner. Some of the special effects, as I said, quite good. I really like the characters of Jules and Noël, but especially Jules, doesn't really fit in with the theme, or the suggested theme. If they made this a drama, and advertised it as a drama, it would be slightly better, because it would live up to expectations if you didn't actually expect anything fun. So, depending on what you want from it, you may enjoy it a little bit. It's not the worst film in the world. As I said, there are positives. But for me, definitely not as good as I was led to believe it is. And I think there's a second film. I'm not 100% confident on that statement. No, I am confident. There is The Claus Family 2. I don't know if that's on Netflix at the moment. But unless somebody convince me otherwise, I don't think I'll be watching the second one. The first one was more than enough.